The Starship Everyday Reviews has taken off. This is the most powerful Kia ever produced. Ooh, it's a cold day on the West Coast today, but this is gonna warm it up a little bit. This is the new Kia EV6 GT. Yes, this is the 576 horsepower Kia. This will rival some supercars for a fraction of the price. From the outside, the GT benefits from the unique looks of the regular EV6. You have a very sleek, sloped front end. That rear is kind of like it has a fastback style to it. Even though it's a four-door, it looks very, very sleek and definitely a unique rear end. You have the same roof spoiler, but the bumpers are a little bit different. I really like what Kia does with their light treatments. So you have that signature LED lighting in the front and even in the rear, you know, the way that the rear taillights are shaped and the backup light itself, I like how it's centered down below. You have a very subtle GT badge, but the only one giveaway that this is different than the regular EV6 GT line would be the wheels. First of all, they're 21-inch wheels, but it's what's behind them. You get larger rotors and you have these 4-piston green calipers behind them. So they look really good. They really stand out in my opinion, and they work very well with the whole package. Let's go inside because it's freezing. Oh man, I am driving a 4-wheeled missile. Holy smokes. Before we get to the GT part of this review, let's just briefly talk about the interior in this EV6 GT. So essentially it's the same as the regular EV6, but this is the top of the line in the EV6 lineup, so there are no options. It's fully loaded. If you want to know everything about that EV6, make sure to check out our other review that we did where we compared it as well with our Ioniq 5. So we get into the dimensions a little bit more, but yeah, I'm not gonna repeat a lot of that right here. But fully loaded. We have the power sunroof, we have wireless charging here, we have the dual 12.3-inch screens, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you can have the blind spot monitor, 360 camera, it comes with all of that. Remember, you have that dual style system for your climate control where the button actually doubles as something for your volume as well as your heat. Said it then, said it now, we'll say it now. Not a huge fan of it, but I can deal with that for sure. I do like that they do have your heated seat and your heated steering wheel buttons as separate buttons. You don't have to go through any type of menus like our Ioniq 5. But speaking of seats, check these out. You got this great green theme happening. You can see the stitching here on, this is artificial leather with suede inserts. You got the nice GT in the brushed metal here. Now these are GT bucket seats. Way more supportive, lighter weight, thinner, and because of that, you actually get a little bit more leg room for the rear seat passengers because they're a little bit thinner. Now, one thing to be aware of though, these bucket seats are completely manual, meaning there's no power adjustment at all. There's no memory for your seats. That's all manual. Makes it easier maybe if you're doing track days and you're switching with another driver. It's quick to adjust back and forth. But if you really want, you know, those power seats, you're not going to get them. They're not available on the GT trim. Onto the drive of this GT. This is the most powerful Kia ever produced. Now, when you actually hit that green button on the steering wheel, you transform this thing into an absolute monster. And the nice thing about the GT button, we haven't even hit it yet. We're in normal mode. In normal mode, you're getting still north of 400 horsepower. But when you hit that GT button, you go into 576 horsepower and 545 pound-feet of torque. And then now think about this button. When I hit it, it automatically feels like it's just geared down if this was a conventional automatic transmission. We are on some twisty roads right now. It's so responsive, the throttle. Oh my goodness. Now the difference between this special button here and other vehicles that have similar buttons is that this is not a boost mode, it's not a sport response button like Porsche has where you're limited in time of how much power you have. When you are in that GT mode, you are just unleashing all the power all at once, and you can just keep it in that mode for as long as you want. And this thing is addictive, I am telling you, man, oh man. Very easy to drive. You can easily get yourself into a lot of trouble with this just in the type of speeds that you can get in such a short period of time. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in this GT will run you only 3.5 seconds. Yeah, that is super, super quick. So 0 to 60 is about 3.4 seconds. That is quicker. They did a test with a whole bunch of supercars even, and that is quicker than a Lamborghini Huracan Evo as well as a Ferrari as well. I'll show you the results right there. But yeah, all in an electric Kia. That's right. It's pretty amazing. The bang for the buck, if you're into high acceleration, it's pretty hard to beat something like this. Plus you get all the creature comforts of the top of the line EV. Now when you're in GT mode, that actually turns your traction control off. I could actually, I could break the wheels loose in here. Now this GT is also equipped with an electronic limited slip differential, and going around some of these tighter corners, it just makes this thing feel so agile. It just rotates so easily. Of course, you have all-wheel drive. This thing's always going to hook up. However, with this much power and torque, there's still bound to be some wheel spin. It's a little bit wet out right now. And but once again, we have the traction control off. If I mat it, the traction is, it's insane how much traction it has. Even with traction control off and that much torque, it just hooks up and just pulls you right back. If you're in a private closed course, there is another mode that is pretty special to the GT, and that is drift mode. And nice thing about it, Kia has made it so it's pretty well impossible. You can't do it while you're driving. You basically have to stop to actually engage it. You have to pull the paddles in, you have to hit a button, and once you're in drift mode, that allows pretty well all the power and torque to go to those rear wheels. Plus, it actually turns down a lot of any of those driving nannies to let this thing really, really go. And when it goes, you can just let this thing hang out. And unfortunately, we're on public roads right now. Should not do it on public roads. I know it's tempting. It is tempting, I'm telling you, but I'm smart enough and I don't want to spend any time in jail or get this car impounded to do it on the road. But if you have a track or you have a big skid pad that you can do that, you could do some good drifting here. I really envy the people that did go to the launch of this EV6 GT where they were at the track and they were able to actually try that out. Yeah, you know, it's like super, super jealous here. Handling wise, they didn't just put in a whole bunch of more power and call it the day. The chassis has been stiffened. You have a little bit different front suspension, and you have adaptive suspension on this as well. All in all, we're going around these tighter corners, as I was mentioned. With that limited slip, it is just, it's like carving some skis. I got some things sliding around there because you have that nice flat floor back there. There's no hump to stop it from going back and forth. That's okay. I can deal with that. And with big power and speed, you need to actually be able to stop and do it well. Well, they've got that handled. You have up from the 12.8-inch rotors on the regular EV6, you go up to 15-inch rotors in the front on this GT with 4 piston calipers and 14.2-inch in the rear, and they're both ventilated. On the regular one, the back ones are just solid discs. With great power, you get, unfortunately, not great range. And that's par for the course, right? You make a ton of horsepower, you're gonna have to feed that engine or feed these electric motors more energy. So on the long range EV6 that we tested before, we were getting, that was all-wheel drive by the way, about 406 kilometers for a max range. This EV6 GT drops that down to just 332 kilometers, and they use the same batteries. That's why. So this is not an increased size battery. So yeah, that is a little bit of a trade-off that you're gonna have to decide. Can you live with that? You know what? I don't do long drives. I could definitely live with this much power. And being electric, it's just so much cheaper than having this type of power with a gasoline engine. And the Starship Everyday Reviews has taken off. If hard acceleration launches put a grin on your face, or you like a vehicle that you could essentially get into any spot, even on the highway here, if I want to get over and need to accelerate hard, it's like, you're there. You know, it's so addictive, the type of acceleration this has, not even just off the line, even rolling starts. We are doing 100 and something kilometers an hour right now, and if I hit that throttle, that's for real. That is how much acceleration this has, doing 60s plus miles an hour. It really, really is amazing. These are really good times that we're living in. Yeah, this does not have the same type of emotion that some of you may be looking for in a nice V8 engine, perhaps, or a mid-engine exotic car. But there's no doubt, you put yourself into this driver's seat, you hit that throttle. If you like to drive, you're gonna have fun, and it's gonna put a grin on your face regardless. That's it from the inside of the Kia EV6 GT. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure like and subscribe. This channel would be nothing without the support of you guys. See you on the next Everyday Review.